When Paul Roberts was 8 years old, doctors discovered he had Duchenne muscular dystrophy. The disease almost exclusively affects young boys. Initially, they experience a weakness in the thighs, legs and arms. This worsens through childhood until the boy is eventually confined to a wheelchair.
All we do is pray and hope that they come up with a cure.
Paul Sr. is a miner. His hobby for more than a decade has been to collect reflective stickers, which are much sought after in the mining industry. As part of a novel fundraising idea, he hopes to turn these collector's items into dollars for research into muscular dystrophy.
Nearly every second bloke collects them. If you go to a mine, the first thing they ask, where's your stickers? If you've got no stickers, you don't get a ride down the mine.
Mine workers across the country are being asked to buy raffle tickets for Paul's collection of stickers. The proceeds will go to the research unit at the Prince of Wales Hospital. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
It was a night to regroup for the Knights. With new lights turning day into night, a parochial crowd of 22,000 to lend support to their team, expectations were high for a boil-over. And the way the match started, it was on the cards, as the Blue and Red Army charged into their work with gusto. New coach David Waite was pensive, pleased with the effort but knowing the Broncos can turn defence into attack, and they did just that. Schuster rallied the Knights with 2 fine penalties, and just before half-time, something special for the fans. Ahead 10-6 at the break, the locals relaxed for a moment, and Michael Hancock opened up the Knights in a dazzling run that almost saw the Broncos back on level terms. Kemp copped 10 in the bin for a professional foul, and from that Brisbane did equalise. Broncos should have been in front, but the Langer-Khan combination was ruled offside, and the cry of robbed rang out from the Brisbane crowd. But with 10 minutes to go, fresh reserve Steve Ranoff answered their prayers. To cap off a night of fabulous footy, Johns crossed to seal the win. Although the scoreline read Brisbane 20, Newcastle 10, the Knights can be mighty proud of their effort.
When Henry Chike Wong emigrated to Australia from Hong Kong 3 years ago, he brought with him a lifetime of painting experience and a head full of images of the timeless beauty of China. Mr. Wong shared those images with the people of Newcastle today with the opening of his first Australian exhibition at the City Hall. On display are 30 works depicting misty mountainsides, rural life,
from his painting, let people feel the villages, how peaceful and quiet the villages is.
and vibrant flowers.
For the flowers, he liked to show people the prosperity, beauty of the flower.
Mr. Wong, who now teaches painting and Tai Chi in Newcastle, said through an interpreter he was delighted by the reaction of those who came to view his work.
They all feel very happy, they feel very interested, they like all the Chinese painting.
Port Stephens had the look of paradise today, but its residents are concerned that it could soon be a paradise lost. About 100 people met at Fingal Bay's Surf Lifesaving Club to work out their next move in their long fight to get better sewerage facilities at Boulder Bay. While sewerage trucks pumped out effluent only 50 metres from the clubhouse, inside, residents said the existing facilities could not cope if development continued in the area.
One of the things of great concern to them is that when the extra townships are hooked up to the Boulder Bay outfall, the amount of effluent going out will be about 16 times the effluent going out now. And if that's all hooked up before they get secondary treatment, it's going to be a disaster area there.
Although a secondary treatment plant is planned for Boulder Bay, the residents want the cleaner and more advanced tertiary system to be installed. Richard Gosden from the Stop the Ocean Pollution Group says something has to be done because dangerously high levels of materials such as arsenic and lead have been found in fish, and he alleges this could be due to the illegal dumping of industrial waste.
None of these things should be in an outfall that serves 2,000 people, and it's all domestic effluent. It should be all domestic effluent. We've got a situation where obviously there's some kind of illegal dumping going on, and the Hunter District Water Board should have got on top of that a long time ago.
Ian Mitchell from the Stingray Spearfishing Club says members have eaten fish they've caught near Boulder Bay, and now they're worried.
If the statistics that Richard just gave up upstairs 5 minutes ago are correct, then the fish we're eating are high in mercury content, high in lead content, and we could actually be poisoning ourselves.
In the world of ballet, 61-year-old Nelly Samsonova is a high flyer. Nelly began developing her skills with the Bolshoi Ballet more than 50 years ago, and she's since starred on the international stage. 20 years ago, she toured Australia as a ballet teacher. She found raw skills and potential. This time, she's found real talent.
She impressed. Australia do better than Russia.
Nelly has been giving classes in Newcastle as part of a Hunter and North Coast tour. She returns to Moscow at the end of the month.
For the past 12 years, this small Belmont cottage has been a home away from home for thousands of East Lakes children. But the Belmont Childcare Centre has been told by Lake Macquarie City Council to find a new home.
Because the building doesn't comply with Ordinance 70, which relates to fire hazards, Council's decided to evict the childcare centre and to demolish the building.
Mayor Welsh says it would cost anything up to $30,000 to renovate the cottage to meet requirements. But the centre's secretary, Roseanne Buzai, says the council should think less about figures and more about the children's welfare.
At the moment we have over 80 families and we have over 100 children attending the centre, and they will have nowhere to go.
The mayor admits there is no alternative venue for the centre, and Ms Buzai says she doesn't know where else to look.
We have exhausted every option that we can in the last 12 months, trying to find somewhere where we could go.
Alderman Welsh says there is a demand for childcare services in the lake area, and he'll be asking the member for Swansea, Don Bowman, for help. Ms Buzai says the parents will be pressuring the council to let the centre stay. When Spears Point resident Yvonne Cox went into her backyard this morning to feed her pet ducks, she was confronted with a grisly sight.
They were strewn all over the yard, their heads had been cut off and their heads had been taken.
Mrs. Cox says she didn't hear a noise during the night and she can't understand why anyone would want to kill her pets.
It must be a very sick person that's doing it, because there is no motive. They're harmless creatures that do no harm to anyone. So I really don't know why anyone would want to come into my yard and slaughter my ducks.
Mrs. Cox says she now lives in fear for herself and her remaining pets.
I have 2 geese left and there's nothing very much I can do except watch, and hopefully they won't come back again.
Bullaroo police say this is the first time they've had to deal with such an incident. While the police are hopeful this is a one-off killing, they are concerned that there is someone around capable of decapitating animals for no apparent reason.
Catherine Hill Bay has seen generations of mining, settlement, passive and not so passive recreation, all taking a toll on the landscape. These people are trying to put something back. They're $9 a day tourists from England, Scotland and Australia. In return for cheap board and keep, they've been busy planting trees, clearing rubbish, digging drains and building fences. The group has been commissioned by the Coal and Allied Mining Company in an attempt to stabilise and protect the valuable natural environment.
Oh, I think it's superb, yeah, the surf and all the bushland and everything. I think it's really good.
It seems a shame that every time you walk into the city you see millions of people milling around the place and you think, why the hell are they not out there doing some more work? I mean, if some of them did some just 1 week, it'd be great.
The job has also taken the group to the nearby Moonee Beach, which environmental officers say is recovering after being closed to vehicles and campers earlier this year. The volunteers will continue their work in the area until next week. Andrew Lobb reporting for NBN News.
Charlene Machen has been dominating women's karate for some time, but in Fukuoka in southern Japan last month, Charlene realised her lifetime dream, winning a world championship. After 5 elimination bouts in the under 53 kilograms division, Charlene won the final against her French opponent in extended time, to become only the second Australian to win a gold medal at a World Karate Championship.
My knees went weak and I was overcome with emotional trauma. I was crying and I nearly had to be carried off.
In a sport that thrives on confidence, it was a relatively nervous exponent of all-styles karate who took on the best and triumphed.
Possibly a week before the tournament I started to believe in myself that I could do it, and then I did it. So that hard training and looking after the nutritional side of my training, also the physical side and the mental side, I couldn't have done anything else.
Due to a broken hand, Charlene is out of this weekend's National Cheeto-Roo Championships at West Wallsend. Also honoured is veteran Australian softballer Chris Ruffley, who is to be inducted into the United States Hall of Fame. Chris represented her country from 1973 to 85, captained Australia from 1979 to 85, and led the nation to third spot in the 1982 World Titles.
Lifelong ambition, I think, a thank you from the sport itself for the time and effort that I put into it. I mean, 25 years is a long time, and I worked hard for it.
And 15-year-old Anthony Foxwood has stolen the limelight at the recent Australian Junior Masters 10-pin bowling championships in Canberra. Averaging 189 for the tournament, AJ battled 700 of the country's outstanding bowlers to be crowned the champ, going through the entire event undefeated. AJ wasn't too serious about his chances leading up to the titles.
I had a little bit of confidence, but I didn't expect to win it until sort of the night before when I was mucking around with a couple of my mates and I said I was going to win it.
AJ now automatically qualifies for the South Pacific Championships in Sydney during September.
Executives with the South Australian-based Santos company arrived at the Fishermen's Co-op late this afternoon for a second round of talks with local fishermen. Their last discussions a fortnight ago attracted about 20 local trawler operators, but this time there were only 2. Minerals and Energy Department spokesman Michael Hill said the fishermen appeared satisfied with the company's report.
When, in fact, will the survey begin?
We're hoping it will begin either at the end of this month or very early next month.
Although the turnout was small, that didn't mean fishermen weren't concerned.
They just wanted a few representatives here today to let them know what was going on, you know.
Australia has a number of rich natural gas fields. The Santos Group has a permit to search for new reserves along the coast from Newcastle to Wollongong, but they're concentrating on small, promising pockets. Will they find natural gas off Newcastle? No one was willing to speculate.
The seismic survey will extend from about 4 kilometres offshore out to about 75 kilometres.
How long will it take?
About 10 days if the weather is good.
What kind of result are you expecting?
A very good one.
Felix Hill and wife Jeanette have maintained a bedside vigil at John Hunter Hospital's intensive care ward since their critically injured daughter Penny was airlifted there on Monday morning. The parents were too distressed to speak on camera, but Penny's uncle, Dennis Bateman, appealed on their behalf.
And we're really appealing to them to come forth with any information that may be helpful in tracking down this person or persons that's caused this grievous injury to Penny.
The 20-year-old had just moved to Coolah from her home at Narrabri on the weekend to take up duties as a nanny at a local motel. She telephoned her boyfriend and parents on Sunday evening but gave no indication that anything was wrong. However, motel staff were able to provide police with one tiny clue.
Only a little message that came from one of the staff at the motel. They heard Penny say something like, "Well, pick me up," and that's all we've heard.
Penny's unconscious body was found on the roadside outside Coolah on Monday morning. She'd suffered shocking head injuries. The family say Penny knew almost no one in town and wasn't the type to get into trouble.
She's a fun-loving girl that never held a grudge against anybody. She went to church with her auntie most Sundays, and a loving Christian-like girl. Wouldn't hurt a fly, sort of very friendly, a really good ambassador for her town. She spoke to anybody, helped anybody, and it's really a shame that somebody should take advantage of somebody's loving personality in this way.
Police say a New South Wales Pro-Am golf competition was being played at Coolah on the weekend and many competitors were billeted in the town. It's possible they have information that could help police track down the attacker. Police are extremely anxious to hear from a man who telephoned Coolah Police Station last night. He said he was from the Hunter Valley and had seen a vehicle near where Penny had been dumped on Monday morning. The caller didn't leave his name, but police say his information is vital. In the meantime, the family continues to pray for Penny. It's understood she has suffered severe brain damage. Her condition remains critical. Police have manned the Crime Stoppers switchboard in Sydney. Anyone who can help in the hunt for Penny's attacker should call 008 251 009 immediately. That number once again is 008 251 009.
Sydney Macedonia had the better of the first half, with Mark Reveley giving a great ball to Theo Kotzius, and his shot brought out the best in BHP Austral's Craig Carter. Kotzius was proving a real handful up front and made the defence work overtime, and he even put the ball in the net, but his less than subtle handball was easily detected by referee Bartlett. Carter was again called into action just before half-time when Reveley and Kotzius combined once again, but they were denied. Whatever Willie Gallagher said to his troops at the break must have worked, as Namoff's corner was met solidly by Darren Stewart, but he hit the woodwork and the 0-0 scoreline remained. Australs pressed forward again. Lowe's ball to Namoff, sensational. Namoff beat the keeper, but Macgregor couldn't get a touch and another opportunity went begging. However, in the 77th minute, Tredenick and Meredith got the ball in the area and Macgregor was on hand to put it away and Austral led 1-0. 8 minutes later, Austral gave away a free kick just outside the area and Scott Gilbert was brilliant. With time almost up, Nick Meredith came tantalisingly close to securing a win for Austral, but the crossbar denied him. Final score, BHP Austral 1, Sydney Macedonia 1. The racing is serious, of course, and this year's Jungle Juice Cup has attracted an outstanding field. In early markets, Royal Deviant heads the list from Trevino and Equal Night, with Proud Avenger and Lily Special also in with a chance. Gary Harley's tip is the speedy Royal Deviant, which will appreciate the rain-affected going. Royal Deviant was too classy for a strong field at Wyong on July 4 and was not disgraced when runner-up to Proud Avenger in the AMA Racing Weekly Handicap at Cessnock on June 21.
As head of the Hunter Area Health Service, Dr Owen James has overseen a number of changes in health services for the Hunter Valley. Most recently, he's presided over the building and commissioning of the John Hunter Hospital. While he is pleased with the result, he says there has been a downside to the job.
Whilst I regard myself as a legitimate target, I think it is quite inappropriate if those of my family and those associated with me should be attacked. If this is the sort of thing which is accepted as perhaps the way Newcastle does it, then I'm not really prepared to continue in my current situation.
Dr James says he may resign as Chief Executive as early as December, a year before his contract expires. The job of making the John Hunter Hospital operational will be finished by then, but continued bickering within the area's health service has also contributed to his decision.
The consequences that were unforeseen associated with funding, the consequences unforeseen in association with power structures, both within and outside the area health service, are the downside. So the short answer to your question is, I might enjoy redundancy.
Competition for health dollars has intensified with the opening of the John Hunter Hospital. The Hunter Area Health Service was $4 million over budget last financial year, and if spending isn't curbed, the projected deficit will be $25 million this year. One ray of hope is that the Hunters' budget will be increased.
If more than the national allocation comes, well, we'll certainly have an opportunity to revise any sorts of plans for partial or closures of major units.
A spokesperson for the Minister for Health Services, Ron Phillips, says speculation about an increase in funds for the Hunter is premature. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
Rescue services were alerted to the crash just before 4 o'clock. The semi with 30 tonnes of ash from the Araring power station careered out of control into a sweeping bend of Mandalong Road on the approach to the F3 freeway. The vehicle rolled, flattening metres of safety railing before coming to rest upside down, its driver pinned in the cab. The man, who was not a local, is believed to have died instantly. A crane was called in to right the truck. The road remains closed while police continue their investigation into the crash.